I think you can have 30K a month on this project as a maker. I mean, without breaking any magic. Just by doing good work, you can get to 30K MRR with this project.
Hi, John.
Hi, everybody.
We are going to discuss concrete startup ideas, how to build them, and how to grow them. We have two specific ideas we would love to share with you. Imagine you have passion, you have time, you want to build something, but you don't know what, and the most important, you don't know how. And today you will learn two ideas. The first one is tweet generator. It's an AI wrapper. It means that it will be built on top of an LLM. You will need some API, maybe OpenAI or Anthropic, and your app will work on it. The value of this app is obvious. It generates tweets. This way you can grow on social media. You can generate posts for yourself or for your company. Let's talk about how to build it, what's the value for the end users, and the most important, how to grow it, how to get real clients. Okay, John, first of all, what's AI wrapper?
It is a project that runs on top of AI, and it's impossible to run this project without AI. Like some projects have AI in them, and you can have AI, but it's not required. It's kind of an addition. But some projects,
Mm-hmm.
if you turn off the AI API, then the project is dead. So I would call an AI wrapper
Mm-hmm.
the project that relies solely on AI. Like in this case, the
Mm-hmm.
whole value of social media post generator is posts that are generated with AI. And that's why we call it a wrapper, because most of the value lays in AI itself.
I want you to sell the idea to the audience. It's obvious for you the value of this tool, tweets, right? But can you ignite the spark inside our listeners' heart? Tell about the potential of the startup. What's the market size of a tweet generator tool? How much money can I earn if I build one? Why is it important? Is it hard to compete? Sell it to me, please.
I think the single best area to target right now is the growth. People are willing to
Hmm.
pay anything for growth because growth is like oxygen. Without growth, the startup dies. Everybody knows perfectly well how to build stuff. Literally any person on earth can learn no code or AI with code, like things like that, or hire someone who knows that and just get the shit done and the product will be on the market. But growing is a problem. Growing is a zero sum game because there is X
Hmm.
amount of dollars to be paid for the tools. So if I grow it, it means that you won't grow. Like that's how it
Hmm.
works. And in any competitive area such as growth, people are bidding for it. So the cost doesn't often justify the output. So people don't even look for ROI that's positive now. They don't even look for that. Very often, especially on early stages or in VC-backed startups, people grow at all costs. That's why people are going to
Hmm.
pay for growth. And then if you can deliver growth to them, they will pay. Will social media content that goes viral or gets certain attention bring you growth? Yes. Everybody knows that. Everybody sees that. You don't have to convince people. So the only thing here that you have to convince people with is that the content that's generated using this tool will score likes, reposts, and comments. If you
Hmm.
deliver that, the rest will happen like magic. And
Hmm.
we've seen that
Hmm.
happening already. So that part needs no proof. And that part needs no convincement for the buyer too. That's why, as long as you can show that your tool works and people can trust what you say, they will be willing to buy it.
Is it hard to build one? Do I need to have some specific skills or experience?
I think AI wrappers are the easiest businesses to build when it comes to useful product. There are other simple things you can build, but usually they're not so useful. But with AI wrappers, sometimes you can build very useful product that can be done in a day. For example,
Mhm.
we saw the cases at the start of this AI wave where people launched things in days and weeks because most of the value of AI wrapper lays in prompts rather than in code.
Mhm.
And if
Mhm.
you're using a boilerplate that covers all the payment and Stripe and account and all those things, then it's very little left to do. But that little part is pretty complicated because prompt engineering is an art where You don't have to produce a lot, but thing you produce has to be really, really good. It's similar to tweets. It's easy to write a tweet, but it's really hard to make it go viral because every
Mhm, mhm,
word has to be in the right place. Same with prompt engineering. Like everyone can go to ChatGPT and try to generate a tweet or LinkedIn post. But to do it really, really well, you have to be good at prompt engineering.
mhm. Okay, so my first goal is to master prompt engineering.
Yeah.
What are the tips? How do I start?
So the way I would start here is that I would not build anything first. I would just go to ChatGPT or to the playground of OpenAI
Mhm,
and
mhm,
start writing the prompts to generate the output I'm happy with. And at the
mhm,
start, you can replicate the software just using your hands. You can just generate tweets using the prompts you made and copy and paste them into your Twitter and see whether it clicks with the users. Because if you are unable to generate good tweets using your prompts, then there is no reason to go further. So you have to first master
mhm,
the prompts. And probably it will take you time. So it may take you a month or weeks of experimenting with it. So I remember when I was experimenting with Playground and with prompt engineering, it was like back and forth. You're going in circles and you're kind of moving, you improve one thing, then the
mm,
other thing breaks. Like you make
mhm,
it funny, but then it becomes not factual, or you bring facts, it
mhm,
becomes not funny, or it becomes too long. So it's really, really
mhm,
difficult. It's almost like creative art rather than programming. It's not
mhm,
obvious what's going to happen when you change your prompt. But once you experiment with that in a playground without building any software, and you
mhm,
find the prompt that actually works, or the set of prompts, or the system of
mhm,
prompts, then you can go and build it.
mhm,
And to go and build it for the next step, I would say do not try to innovate here, because in AI wrapper, the value is the output, nothing else.
mhm.
So there is no point on inventing any amazing UI or anything like that. So just get a boilerplate for AI wrappers. I'm sure it exists,
Yeah.
where the only thing probably you have to do is to replace your prompt and implement the connection to external API. Like if you're a Twitter wrapper, then you connect it to Twitter or to LinkedIn. So that part, pretty small.
Okay, so my goal is to become a prompt engineer genius, to
Yeah.
be able to generate good tweets just by using ChatGPT, nothing else. I don't need a SaaS at this step. Then, after my output is somehow okay, I can start building the actual SaaS. Is there any way to validate my output? Because I might like it, but I'm not sure others will. I'm also not sure if they will pay for it. Can I somehow validate my prompts without building a SaaS?
You can and you should, and that's what I done every time when I did that myself. So basically,
Mhm,
when you use ChatGPT or Playground from OpenAI to engineer the prompts, you can start testing the output in real life. Like if it's your Twitter account, you go and test it there.
mm,
Once it works, like the moment you see it works, you tell
mhm,
everyone that this is a result of your prompt,
mm,
and you tell, hey guys, like look where I got. I got 1K views or whatever. And if you want, I can do it for you too. I will be the UI for now. Like there's no need
mm,
to make a UI yet. Just find 10 people and tell them, do you want me to create tweets
mm,
for you using my system? Like first do it for free, because you have to make sure that it works for someone else too. They work for you, it should work for
mhm,
someone else. Once you see that it worked for at least one more person that's not you, now
mhm,
the next step is to say, look, it worked for me, it worked for that person, and now I'm launching a little manual SaaS. So just make a page with the Stripe payment link where people put their email and then
mm,
some whatever else you need, and they pay for one
mhm,
tweet or for 10 tweets or for 20 tweets.
mhm,
It can be one-time payment or it can be a subscription, better subscription. So they pay $9 a month or
mm,
29, and you sell 10 subscriptions, for example, and then you have a Notion document or whatever you use with to-do list where you have to every day create content for them using your system.
mhm, mhm,
And this is a really good way for you to move forward, because A, you don't have to build any software yet.
mm,
But B, what's more important is that since you haven't built software, you can adapt and adjust and improve your prompts and your system in real time.
Mhm.
You can try different prompts for different customers. You can see that it works for one, it doesn't work for the other. You can adjust the prompt.
Mhm.
So basically, you can just manually hand the prompt for every case, and then you satisfy those customers. So you get two things out of this process. First, you save time on building and you put that time into prompting. That's really important because you need to put a lot of time into prompting. The more time you save
Mhm.
on building, the more time you have for prompting. Number two, you have real customers on the market using your tool. So the marketing has started. The world can see that there are people using your tool, and those people might share that information, which is good. You are there. Like the the public attention thinks that your product is up and running, which is good because nobody wants to try something too new, too fresh. People want to try things used by
Yeah.
others. And number three is that it is really difficult to get the prompts right away. And you will always hit the wall saying that it works for one, it doesn't work for the other case because prompts are not like code. Even if they
Mhm.
work perfectly for your tweets, they might fail completely for some other person topics and
Mhm.
then work for the third person and fail for the fourth person. But in this case, since you manually apply it and run it, you
Mhm.
see every input and output with your eyes. It helps you to improve the prompts. And the final result of this whole process, where you wrote zero line of code yet, like zero, is that you promoted your tool on the internet with actions, not with words. People
Mhm.
spoke about your tool, great. And third, you have adjusted your intuition based on actual prompts and outputs, and now you know way better on what prompt should be there before you go to actually automating.
Mhm. So the good part of such a tool is that it's easy to promote because everybody wants grow, right? It's a
Exactly.
gold rush now. Mhm.
Exactly. It's easy to promote and it's obvious. It's 100% obvious what you have to do for this tool to go viral and get good word of mouth. It's 100% obvious. If your tool is growing and the content published on the page of your tool looks amazing and you say it is made by the tool itself, you won the game.
Mhm.
It sounds easy. It's really
Mhm.
difficult to
Mhm.
achieve.
Mhm.
It's easy but not simple, or the opposite. So it's really easy outcome, but it's really hard to achieve. If you look around, the world is occupied by DOS generators. There are a lot of them. I think there are like 10K or maybe 20K of them. They're the most occupied space there. But 99.9% of them, I try them a lot, like almost every
Mhm.
day,
Mhm.
and they are really bad. Like I do better with my saved prompts inside ChatGPT. I do better than those tools. And that's what other people would think. But the worst part, you open their own profiles and they have 20 followers or 100 followers. So I think that's the thing to crack. But I gave the recipe to crack that part earlier, where to
Mhm.
build the tool, do not launch the brand, do not buy the domain, do nothing of that. Just do only one thing first. Make sure that you can create good content for your own personal profile and then for
Mhm.
10
Mhm.
people outside of you. Right. And if that happens,
Mhm.
then it works.
For this particular startup idea, we want to focus on the product because the product itself is the growth tactic,
Yes.
right? So let's talk about how to make a good tweet generator because I have tried that. It was hard. It was a chain of prompts, and I was able to achieve an average result generated a tweet. It didn't went viral, but it got 3 times more views than my followers count, and it wasn't something that I could sell. Really. But I spent a lot of time on it, dozens of hours. Is it even possible in theory to create a good one? If yes, how do I do that?
It is really difficult. Otherwise, we would have a lot of them on the market already. It is really difficult because AI seems to be great at writing. When you ask
Mm-hmm.
it to write something that has no specific requirements and when your expectations are blurred, but once you have certain requirements and rules and do's and don'ts, AI suddenly starts doing a really bad job. So
Mm-hmm.
I think The solution here is to go away from simple prompting because I don't think AI can produce good content just out of a great prompt in one shot. I think most
Mm,
likely the way I would approach it is by building mix, like a system that does a lot of stages of prompting. So first you generate the whole content. You don't care
mm,
about if it's easy to read, if it's short, if it's simple language, like you skip that. So first you
mhm,
focus on making quality content and you guess that it doesn't matter the format. That's easier. AI is really good at that. Like ask AI to make you, 10-step process for spending 1 hour on our SEO a day and growing. It will manage. But it will be you will need a lot more details for those steps that AI can bring. So
mhm.
you do that first,
Okay.
like this rough draft. And then you're
Mhm,
thinking, like, what can I add to this? How can I format? And you look at the patterns of social media. For example, on Twitter, you have threads. So you have to split that into threads. So now
yeah.
you ask the next AI to split that into
Mhm,
threads. You say, like, here's the text given. Do not remove or add anything. Just split it into pieces by
mm,
250. And that's the second step. Then for
mhm.
every of the thread, we know that the first line is the most important because that's the hook, and then every next tweet on the thread should have the hook too, because people just scan, and
Oh,
when they
yeah.
scan, they're lazy to read. They're just kind of looking at the whole piece of text and try to comprehend it. That's what people do. People never read like from word to word, from left to right. And that kind of reading requires the text to be in a certain format where the first line should make you interested. And then the
Mhm,
next lines should be possible to scan without even following the punctuation and things like that. And it still has to be clear what's happening. So the format of the connection of the words has to be that way. So now you create one model that works purely on the hook for every tweet in the
yeah.
in the threads. And then the other one does the work of simplifying the text
Mm,
so that it's possible to scan.
mhm,
And then the last one has to do the work of connecting with the facts. Because, for example, if your tweet is about 10 steps for SEO, you can't just say things and that's it. You have to attach screenshots, you have to attach statistics or some case study or tweet from someone else that was about this little thing or an article. So there has to be some connection to real world.
yeah, you
You,
can't just say build backlinks, it
yeah,
will improve your rankings. You
exactly.
have to say there's a study that store, for example,
Yeah,
website, they increased their DR and
exactly,
the SEO
exactly.
traffic growth.
You can make it
Facts.
less boring than there is a study. You can say that the backlinks are the backbone of SEO, and this site increased their from 10 to 50, and their traffic went up by 600%. And you just name the site, right? And then people
Yeah,
kind of see some connection to real world. They can go and check their are on and do some validation like that. But
yeah.
maybe they will not do it, but it helps people to trust the content, because if you don't do that, people are never going to trust the content. Of course, if you're big, if you're Neil Patel or you're a huge
Mm,
persona, you need no connection. But
yeah,
those people wouldn't be using these tools. So we have to remember that a typical user of this tool will be the one with 0 followers. That's why they want
yeah.
to use the tool. They have no credibility. Nobody knows them. Nobody trusts them. People just don't think about them. So that's why the content has to be fully,
Mm.
complete.
So you have to make a system of scanners, scrapers to crawl the internet to find the facts.
Yeah, you have to do that.
Oh wow,
I do that
this is what.
in one of my
Yeah, yeah.
wrappers, like SEO bot. We
Hmm.
had just a generator that was creating text out of the prompts. But then we realized that it brings a lot of hallucination. That's one of the problem. Like there's a lot of hallucination if you use LLMs. So then
Hmm.
every step, every chapter, every section would also go to Google and search for keywords of this section, find a lot of then bring facts
Hmm.
back and then regenerate itself using the facts and using some links to the facts. And now we know it's fact checked. And also we know we have links so that people can check for themselves. and maybe find some more information. So basically, when people think AI wrapper in their head, it's like there's a prompt, there's an input from the user, it merges together, goes to LLM, LLM returns output, you show to the user, you send it to the next stage. But no, was all right for the first 3 months after ChatGPT release. People
Mm,
would buy that, but today
yeah.
that's not going to work. So you have to have multi-step, orchestrated, connected to RAD, like where it actually
Mhm.
picks information from real world. And
Yeah.
as more steps like that you have, the better the content. But then it's also more costly and
Mhm.
there's higher chance for these steps to fail. So it is you have to do that all manually first. So don't build a
Mhm.
system for that again. Just do it manually. So you have the output, you take keywords, you Google, you bring it back, you generate the thing again. So do those things manually first.
You said that this tool will be used by people who don't have any experience or backgrounds or stories to tell. This is why they don't
Yeah.
tweet well. They don't have nothing to tweet about. When I was building my tweet generation tool, I also included the first part, which you didn't tell us about. It's the context of the person, of myself. So I just copy pasted all my interviews, all my past stories to it. So when my Twitter generator creates a post, for example, about SEO, it takes a piece of my experience and uses it as a fact, right? To augment this tweet. So you assume that this step isn't necessary because the users are not the people who has that
Emulate.
experience.
Yeah, I think that would be a
Mhm.
really good Twitter generator or social media generator. But I think the main problem is that the majority of people have nothing in their experience, have no background. So
Mhm.
basically, if you target this audience is very rare and there's high chance they don't even want to use AI for their
Mhm.
content. There's very high chance for that. Like I wouldn't use it.
You mean the experienced ones, right?
Yeah,
Okay. Mhm.
because if you're experienced, it's usually not that hard to produce your content yourself because you're used to it. And also, you are always in a game of competition. For a person that sits on 0 followers, any growth is good. But if you're an experienced
Mm.
founder, you want the best growth possible. You don't want
Mm.
just some content from your page. You want the best possible. You want to be
Mhm.
competing in your space. You want to be known as the most influential person in your space. It's a real battle. And moving forward, the battle will get even more bloody. Look at Twitter. Year ago, there were very few CEOs and founders running their accounts. Now, name even one who is not running. Like everybody's there. Even Jeff
Yeah.
Bezos and John Cena, everybody's there. And you can see that they are running their own accounts and they're trying really hard. So I think people should not even try to build product for them because you will not help them. But the other group, the people with no followers, for them, anything that's above zero is a progress because they've been at
Mhm.
0 followers forever. It means that they have no idea how to grow. And if they have no idea how to grow, they won't have the idea how to grow tomorrow too. So for them, you're actually bringing not a vitamin or some
Yeah.
nice addition, but it's a real painkiller. They have a real problem and you're actually solving. I would
Yeah.
focus only on them. And if you focus only on them, then it also means that you have to make a generic generator that can generate content out of nothing because
Hmm.
most clients will have nothing.
There is another audience which might be interested in this tool without any major changes. It's company accounts. For example, your company, Unicorn Platform, or mine, they are not active. But if
Yeah.
they had some, this kind of content, just something I Googled and composed, it work right. As a founder of such an AI wrapper, should I focus maybe on this type of clients, companies, rather than aspiring makers who wants to build their personal brand?
Yeah. Products. It's not
Mhm.
one versus the other. It's just pick one that you like more because
Mhm.
one for companies obviously will be based on different things. You'll have to know the release notes of your software and the testimonials from people so they can publish that. So it's pretty much very different software in this case. And the language it speaks it will be different, the content it publishes it will be different. So I would say it's another idea. It's not bad, it's a good idea. but it's just another idea. So I would pick one or the other. I think both are equally good, but to be honest, I would recommend starting with personal because it's easier to sell. Because there are more people trying to grow their accounts than there are companies trying to grow their brands, right? Because most companies who grow their brands, they have either they have people employed to do that and they are not your
Yeah.
target customers, or there are just very few of them.
Mm.
But if you look at people who just want to grow their account, there are a lot of them. It's all
Mm.
agency owners, all freelancers, all entrepreneurs, all people who just starting out. It's millions, like 100 million people. And I always think that going after bigger markets, it's still niche because you're targeting people who are solo starting. It's still niche, but it's big niche. So there's nothing better than huge niche because it's a niche because they have same goals and same problems, but it is huge. It's multi-million. And that's why I would go for this first because also you can relate to them because you are your own customer in this case as a builder of this tool.
Okay, let's wrap up. So imagine I want to build such a tool. I want to build an AI wrapper tweet generator. The first thing I do, I make an Notion page with a prompt. Then I use this prompt to generate some basic tweets. After I'm succeeded at that, I add some external data, not from the LLM itself, but from Google, right? Real data, images, links. I should do it manually because it's the MVP. I don't have any SaaS doing it for me. Then I post those tweets and I see the engagement. If it's good, I'm posting a Stripe link and selling packages, for example, 100 tweets per month for $50. Then I get a client and do the same thing for that person. After I get a client, I get one more, then more and more. After I get 10 and the system works every time, I start to think about making an actual SaaS. I go buy an AI wrapper SaaS boilerplate, I apply my prompts there, and I somehow code the scraping tool, which finds data on the internet. Not sure how it's done. And voila, I am a millionaire, right?
That's simple. Yeah, that's simple.
The scraping part, you haven't told about that much. Is it hard to do? Is it costly?
Not really. There are a lot of tools for that, and there are tools exactly for scraping for AI agents. So you can utilize
Mm-hmm.
them.
Nice.
So I think the main job you have is to orchestrate things because all the moving parts have been already built and running on the market for a while now.
Okay, my question is, should I focus on one platform, such as X, or it's a versatile tool? LinkedIn works too, Threads work too.
Always do the least you can do
Mm.
because there's misconception. People think that it's like when you build mobile apps, the most the dumbest mistake you can do is to build both Android and iOS at the same time.
Mm.
Like really, if you do that, I can't call you smart after that. Really,
Wow.
because you spend double of effort
Mm.
for what? You say because if I do that, I will have double of users because if I promote, more people can try it. But people have to remember, like, let me try to explain this part. It's so complicated, but so many people have to know about it. When you
Okay.
launch your product, your goal isn't to get users to use it at all costs. Like there's no difference between 10 and 20 users. There's no difference
Mm.
between 100 and 200. There's literally no difference at all
Mhm.
because it's both are too little. So the only reason you get users first is to have test users to build together with, to iterate with. That's the only reason you have your first users. And that's why it doesn't matter. Like if you only target Twitter, you'll get 10 users. If you target LinkedIn, you can go to LinkedIn and get 10 more users there. All right. Why don't you get 20 users on Twitter? I mean, do the same effort you would do for the other platform here and get more and more, but then you have less work to do. So I think spreading on more platforms is purely growth instrument after product market fit.
Mhm.
That's it. Like if you do it before, it's a dump move, but if you do it after, it's just a growth method to grow farther, right? But on initial stage, you need to save time for yourself, remove the complexity, reduce the complexity, and obviously the format of the content for Twitter and LinkedIn is different, and the APIs are different, etc., etc. That's why pick one,
Mm.
either X or LinkedIn or Reddit or whatever, but it's just one platform, and go with that platform until people are super happy with that thing and it's just growing on its own. And now we can just, scale it up by adding more platforms.
That sounds super easy. If it's so easy, why didn't anybody do that? Why every Twitter native sucks so much?
I think for Twitter, it's harder. It's easier for LinkedIn, and I know people
Mm,
running profitable businesses there. I'm talking to a guy who does it. Hey, he makes a lot of money on that, and we're talking about building something together. So there are a lot of people. I think there are like millions made every month in total from the LinkedIn post generators. I think 80% of all popular content on LinkedIn is generated by AI, not by people.
Oh.
But on X is the opposite. It's like nearly zero generated by AI because
Hmm.
X managed to make the algorithm in a way that human content wins against AI content. Because human content is always better if it's the best content from best humans wins against any AI, right? And X
Hmm.
is good at picking the best content. So when you scroll feed, it's really difficult to see there something that's not like very rare. While on LinkedIn, it's the opposite. You scroll and it's really difficult to see something that's interesting, or almost everything is not interesting. So I think that it's the algorithm. But I think LinkedIn does it in purpose. People who use X use it for fun, and people who use LinkedIn use it because they are paid to use it. It's your job
Hmm.
to use it. And that's why they by making it easy to boost that content, LinkedIn makes more money because people use it more for marketing and they use the APIs. And I think it's just a strategic move, which is smart by LinkedIn. So they did that all in purpose. Because if you only let best content to be surfaced, you
Hmm.
also say that only 0.0001% of founders will get the spot because the best will
Uh,
get everything. Like the best content writers will win the whole feed, right? And that's what happens now. Like we have this
hmm.
disproportional effect on Twitter. Like on LinkedIn, I was really
It's
following that.
true.
On LinkedIn, there are a lot of people with 2K followers and 5K and 10K. But when I see that
Mm-hmm.
10K on LinkedIn, I just don't give a shit about that because it's in most cases it's just people sending connection requests to everybody and then getting
Oh, I
followed
do that.
back. But on Twitter, it's impossible. If you have many followers, you must be good, unless you bought.
Hmm.
There are a lot of people who buy the followers, but
Yeah.
you can see you open their tweets and there's like 20 views
Yeah.
on a tweet with 20K followers. It's impossible. So I think people should not target X, but if you want to make a billion, if you want to make not a million, but a billion, that's a challenge. If you find a way to make content for X and it works, you're a billion.
DM.
You're a unicorn founder. And I have an idea for that and I'm going to try it. I have
Oh
an
wow.
idea how to make amazing content for X that will win. And I'm going to try the same way you just described. I'm
Ah,
gonna
secrets. You want to do the way you say.
Yeah, exactly. But the secret is exactly what prompt I will use, how exactly I
Ah.
will break my process down into stages. So that part is difficult, and that's kind of the real mode on and the secret of this project. But overall, the step by step is very straightforward. I think any growth tool will follow this path. So first, you do that manually with no code just for your own business or own profile, and you show
Mm-hmm.
everyone how it works. You just show everyone that, look, I'm doing it. Now it works. Who wants it? And then people say, I want it. You do it for them. And then they say, wow, it works. Then you say, cool, it works. Now you launch a little landing page with a form, and then you get people to pay, and then you collect 10 people, and then you do it for them in a semi automated way. And then
Mm-hmm.
they say, cool, it works. And then you make a real product. But every cool and it works part may take you a month because
Mm-hmm.
it's not like
Mm-hmm.
you spend a day prompt engineering and then suddenly it
Yeah.
works. No, you may get stuck on first step for a year or
Oh yeah.
forever. You may never manage to succeed there just because you're not good enough at prompt engineering.
Mm-hmm. So overall, would you recommend this kind of startup to our fellow makers for an average guy?
Overall, I think it's not the best project because it helps to pollute internet with bad content. And whenever I see AI generated replies, yeah. So I would say this: do not build reply generator because they're
Mm,
all just pure garbage, because there is no value at all in a reply you can generate with AI. There's no value at all, right? Because when you say, "Great, man," there is value. I feel good that you're cheering for me and you wrote that line and you took the time for it. I feel good about it. It
mhm.
motivates me. But if it's AI generated, "Great, man," or whatever, I feel nothing, zero. So I actually feel the opposite. I feel like you just wasted my time. I had to open the notification. I have to read it, and should I like it or
Yeah.
reply to this? So I think it's pure bullshit. So I think people who make reply generators, please don't get offended, but it's just pure garbage that's being created with those reply generators. But I think tweet and article generators are not like that. They can be a garbage, they can be value. And I'm convinced that AI is able to generate value because you can just ask
Mhm,
AI
mhm.
for things in chat and it gives you answers and you're freaking happy, right? So
Yeah.
that's why you can't say AI doesn't generate value. You can ask it how to make lasagna, it will give you a recipe and you will make it and you'll be
Yeah.
happy, right? So I think AI generators are good. Just do not enter the fake reply space because that's fake. But generators are good. And if you generate shit content, algorithm will fix it. It will just not show it to anyone. That's why nobody gonna suffer from your bad content that's generated by AI. But if it's shown to people, it means it's good. It means people resonate with it, they learn something from it, then everybody benefits. That's why I recommend to do that, but do not do the
Mhm.
reply thing. Just do posts and
I have to argue what's the problem with the replies. For example, if I'm making a reply bot, such as there is a tool called Reply Guy, the
yeah.
founder is making 10K or something per month. But anyway, if I'm making a reply tool which replies on Reddit, it does the job really well. Literally, it just ChatGPT's the answer for me, right? For the original poster. It does the job. And what's the problem? If somebody asks how to do pull-ups, I don't know how to do even one. Then my bot can create a good for them. How to start? Do
Well,
negative pull-ups, for
it
example.
depends on how you approach it. So, of course, if the reply guy knows you is with value from your experience, it's a different story. But 99% of all AI generated replies you can see anywhere are just word water. Like it's just
But it's just the skill issue. They made a bad one, a bad reply generator.
uh,
Let's make a good one.
because in most cases, there's nothing to reply with. Like in most cases, most tweets, they don't have an open question to reply to. So the reason people reply to tweets, eh, there are a few. One, to support the author.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
that part should come from a real person. Otherwise, it's fake support, right? So
Yeah.
that's one. The other is to argue. Can
Mhm.
AI argue? I don't think so because like it's not you arguing, it's AI arguing, and you just ask AI, go and argue everywhere you can. That's also fake because you probably wouldn't argue in this case, but would argue in the
Yeah.
other case. Yeah. The third one, where it looks at the tweet, at the content, and tries to add something to it. Also fake.
Mhm.
So basically, the only case where reply from AI makes any sense is
Yeah.
when you have content and people ask for
Yeah.
clarifications and your reply bot is able to pull that from your information that you provided earlier and give
Yeah.
it so that it actually gives the same what you would give to the person too, like in additions,
Yeah.
some things you didn't mention in the content, etc. For example, you say something and then people ask, so what's your MRR? And then the reply bot knows your MRR and says my MRR is 30K, right? That's fine. It doesn't matter it comes from you or from the bot. You
Mhm.
will never see that happening. So yeah, if you do that, okay. But the case is that the chance for that product to be useful is very low because, as I
Mhm.
said, majority of the content on the internet doesn't fall into that category. In most cases, people either argue with you or support you.
Mhm.
In both cases, it's you who has to enter the conversation, not the AI.
Okay, I still can imagine some cases when replies are okay. For example, if you find a topic which people are talking about frequently in a context of a question. For example, many ask to roast their landing page. Happens on Reddit, on Twitter often. We can create a bot which isn't hiding its identity. It will
Mm,
be called landing page roasting bot,
yeah.
which will be, yeah,
But that's
uh,
different. You see, it's not reply, it's a new category. Basically, people ask internet for something, right? So it's
mhm.
not passive content, it's content that published for the sake of replies. There's
Yeah, it's a different category
yeah.
of tool.
For example, it says, "Show me your landing pages or what are the projects you're working on." And this is totally fine to have your bot bring your projects there, not you. It doesn't matter because the value is the same, right? A, that's rare. B, you will be having a hard time selling this project, right? So it's useful. It's so rare when this is useful that it will be hard to justify that this is a painkiller, not a vitamin to the audience. I agree that this is
Mm,
useful. It's just I
mm,
always
mm,
try to avoid things which are not
I
obviously
understand.
useful and you need them every day. And this one you don't kind of need it every day. So I
Mhm,
think this is amazing addition to it's a successful product that you built around the whole thing. Like if you
mhm.
build successful tweet generator, later you can add this
Yeah.
feature and sell more expensive plan for that and people are going to buy it. But if you start with it, you're going to fail.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. Yeah, I think it's enough for this first idea, AI
Yeah.
wrapper, tweet generator. Let's move to the second one we had. It's simpler, it's more obvious, it doesn't require you so many skills. You don't have to be a prompt genius. The second AI wrapper idea is Open Graph Image Generator. An Open Graph image is a thumbnail of your blog post. When you share your article on LinkedIn, on Twitter, you see an image. Basically, it's a thumbnail
Yeah.
of your post, has some graphics, maybe a face or logotype of your company. Often it has the title of the article. This image requires you some time to create, and it can be done with AI pretty easily. And what excites me in this idea is that today we have a lot of SEO bots, which is your startup, which creates articles with AI, and we have a lot of clones of them, hundreds of startups which generate blog posts with AI, and every one of them needs such a tool. What is your opinion about this idea? Can you earn money with that?
So I think there are some ideas where there's a trap, and this is one of them.
Mm,
I have an idea how to avoid the trap, but I will explain what trap you're gonna fall in if you just try to go for it right away. So the first thing you would think here is that there are companies who need this as API, like blog generators and others like that. For example, no code builders. The problem here is that it's really hard to sell small building blocks to other builders because builders like to build things and they are confident they can build everything themselves, especially if it's something small. So in this case, I bet that majority of block generators either have or gonna build their own version of it inside of their system
mhm.
because it looks small and they want to have control of it and they don't want to pay for it. So that's why this audience is not a good one. And also, if you think
Okay.
that I can sell it to website builders like Unicorn
Yeah.
platform, it's another bad idea, I think, because same shit there. They will say, we will just build it in house because it's easy. And they will do that. So, and I've seen people fail a lot. Like, I have people reaching out to me for Unicorn platform or for SEO bot, often pitching these kind of ideas, very often, nearly every day. And I always try to understand what's their traction, what's their history. I like to know that because the more I know, the more I can tell and summarize and generalize things. And I
Mhm.
can confidently say that nearly all of them have built good as the case in APIs, but have no traction because they
Okay.
have wrong approach and wrong strategy. And I have an idea how to solve it. So this is what I would do. You have to approach people who care about their time more
Mhm.
and who have less time to waste on this. So if you go for no code platform builders, it's a bad audience because they have resources. They are seriously building stuff. But now think other groups, for example, people who build directories, let's say. So you built a directory,
Mm.
you used some system like a no code platform for this. And you are not the person who wants to spend time building other little things. So you can't you already show the type of the user you
Mm.
are by using the no-code
Yeah.
platform instead
Yeah.
of writing from scratch. And it's
Yeah.
huge number of people like that. And now you have hundreds of items in your directory. And imagine that somebody tells you, do you want to have, like, take this URL, pour it into your meta tag for image, and every page you have going to be beautiful with social preview. And now for this person, it looks compelling. Why? A, this person would never build it themselves, never, right? B, this makes their whole business so much better. Like, it's not tiny improvement, but it's
Mhm.
serious improvement because the whole directory is about links, and suddenly all the links become more beautiful when they're shared. So, and this thought experiment, what I was trying to do is to show how sometimes some things make perfect sense, but they completely fail in real life, such as website builders and blog generators need this so I can build it and they will buy it. But no, if somebody needs something, there is no guarantee that they're gonna buy it from you because
Mhm.
A, they can build it themselves. And if they can, they will do. That's the reality. If anyone can build something and they're heavy on resources, like company that builds, they will. B, it's not that important for them to
Mm.
pay and get it from the side. So you have to find someone who can't build it themselves and for whom it's even more important, so that you can just in one message you
Mm.
can justify. You can, like, we're trying to do this podcast in a way that we give people actionable advice, and the actionable
Mhm.
advice here is you find someone making a directory and you send them a message where you show how their random page looks right now in a preview in social and how it could look, and you send them both. You send them an image without my tool, with my tool, and you show an ugly thing and a beautiful thing. And you say, the only action you have to take for this is to place this one line in your head tag that will dynamically generate the image, like the link to image that's dynamic, right?
Yeah.
And $9 a month. And for the owner, it will be a no-brainer. Like like do that, and 30% will say yes, or let's say 20% will say yes. I think I can make 70% to say yes because I know how to convince people. But if you don't know how to convince people, you'll make 10% to say yes. That's fine. If it's 10, reach out to 500
Mhm.
people, you have 50 users.
Okay. So what's this tool? It generates an image. You just put a tag in your website's head and it generates an image for every article. As for the product part, is it hard to do? Should I use some AI to do that? Sounds like I can do it algorithmically.
You can just make a screenshot of the page. You render, you make a screenshot. That's what most do. But the problem with making screenshot is that it's not always beautiful and it's not always looking different. For example, you'll have the navigation bar that you
Oh.
don't want to have there. How can you remove it? You might just break the page if you remove it. So I think there you need some AI there if you want to make it
Mhm.
good. But again, what I would do, I would say this: you get free if it's just screenshot, free.
Hmm.
Look, I'll give you a trial for the beautiful version where it's not just a screenshot
Hmm.
but beautiful for 10 pages. And now you do the next trick. You send them a new message. Look how it looks with my tool on free and with my tool on paid. And sometimes it will look just the same. So you'll not upsell, but sometimes the other one will look way better. And it's easier to sell this on steps, step by step. So first you give them the free simple version that will be really
Mhm.
useful. And now you have them as a client, they have the account in your system, their card is connected just because you asked to connect it even on a free account. And now one day you send them an automated email saying that, did you know that you could also enable AI enhancement for your previews? And here's an example for a random page you have. If you like it, just enable it and it will cost you $5 extra every month, whatever. And that's it. And 10% or 50% will say yes,
Hmm.
and you upsold it. And again, it's easy to start. And to start, you can go without AI. So it's AI wrapper, but you can start without AI.
Can even start without a code. I can draw them in Figma manually. Should I do that?
Well, not in the particular scenario I described, because I described the scenario where people have programmatic SEO pages. Directory is a programmatic SEO. So everybody has like bulk number of pages. For them, you won't be able to do that. But you can start by using somebody else API and pay for it. You can go for screenshot one from Dmitro and just pay him and cover the costs, but give it for free to people
Mm.
and start that way. And if it works, then you build your own so that you make money, or you just price it in a way that you charge more than you pay for APIs, whatever. So the tech part here is, again, if you're not a procrastinator, you can build the whole thing in one day.
Oh wow, really? Even if you're not a skilled programmer?
Especially if you're not a skilled programmer. I think skilled programmers have a disease that makes them complicate things and build things in a way that it justifies their skills, because they hesitate
Mm.
to build things in a regular way because it's the way the regular guys build, but they're strong guys. They have to build in a cool way. We see that. There is no correlation between best programmers and best makers on the market right now. There is zero correlation. Find even one good programmer who is also a successful maker. I don't think you will find one. I think the only who is really good and who is also successful is the guy who makes Coolify. So it's the only
Oh yeah.
product that's grown out of the complicated tech nerd work itself. Like the only product I know. But he has such a small traction. Like I think if he partnered up with somebody who is like a shark of making, he would be making 10x or 100x of what he's making now.
Okay, what's the potential? This second idea of generating thumbnails.
I think there's huge potential
Tell me
because
the number. The number.
the programmatic SEO is growing, the are growing, and the taste is important. People want to have beautiful stuff. So I think you can have 30K a month on this project as a maker. I mean, without breaking any magic. So just by doing good work, you can get the 30K MRR with this project. So I wouldn't call this micro SaaS even. I think it has a lot of ways to grow, a lot of ways. For example, you can do more on generation. So you start with the preview generation, but then you can also generate images for the blog so people can insert an image. So imagine you're writing a
Mm.
blog and you want to insert an image where it shows a pie chart with certain thing. And then imagine the whole thing you have to do is to just put URL,
Mm-hmm.
and in the URL, in a query string, there will be a prompt equals, and you write
Oh.
something, and that's it. So there's no tool even. This whole tool has no URL. Is the UI of the
Oh.
tool, the URL.
Nice. I like this idea.
And you can do
Mm-hmm.
that everywhere. You can place it into Figma, like everywhere you can place URLs, right? So you just put prompt in the query string of the URL. And I think that way you can do huge things. So I think it can become huge, actually, $1 million business. If you succeed on cheaply generating good images out of those prompts right on the spot in the URL, I would do that. I
Mm-hmm.
actually want to do that. You pick two products that I want to do myself.
Sorry.
But I want to do everything, so there is no product you can mention that I have no plan.
So this podcast is basically your shopping list.
Yeah, I want to try this. I want to go to MVP Visitors, my directory for MVP builders, and I want to put these two projects. Not just these two. I have like 7 projects. And I put it
Mm.
there, and I want people to give me quotes, and then I'm gonna accept some of the people, and they will build these MVPs for me.
Mm,
And
nice.
because now I built all kind of in house, right? With the people who are building the other products and they build the next products. But I want to try
Mhm.
to build with somebody else, but not as a co-maker, because I tried the co-maker thing and I got a lot of DMs, but I have no idea how to evaluate them. I have no idea how to make the deal. It's just too hard. So it's easier for me to just pay fixed price to people. And if they don't deliver, they get no money. If they deliver, they get the money, and that's it. And then if it
Mhm,
works well,
mhm.
maybe we go and become partners. Like I'm thinking that.
We talked a lot about the concept, the idea. We talked about how far it can bring you, up to 30K per month. Nice. Let's now talk about the growth part. You said you can introduce this tool to no-code makers, such as people who build directories. How do I do that? Where do I find them? How do I approach them?
I would do this.
Do I do it manually? It will take me ages.
Not really. I would do this. I would
Okay.
monitor internet for people launching directories
Mhm.
where they say, "Hey, I launched directory. Wow, look at this." And I will go to replies and do my pitch saying, "Look, this is how your page would look if you use my tool." This wouldn't sound like spam because it's not spam, it's per post. So you have to generate that every time. The fun part that if you're super lazy, you can actually create the URL that takes in the URL and generates the image where it compares the old and the new. So then the only thing you have to do is you just place the URL in a reply, and URL will render into an image, and image will be generated on the spot, pitching your product
Yeah.
exactly for this case. That's so
Nice,
basically,
nice.
if you do that, and then you buy some Twitter reply and LinkedIn reply tools, and then
Oh.
you you program them for this.
So replies make sense now.
Yeah, we finally found the only case where it makes sense. So those reply tools should be able to take the content and generate this URL based on the URL in the past, right? Most likely they're
Mhm,
not. So
mhm,
maybe you have to write your own for. And if you do
mhm,
that,
mhm.
or I would just recommend do it yourself. And if you're lazy, pay someone hundred
Mm,
dollars a week, and they will just spend the whole week doing it. Hire somebody from India for this, and like any place where people charge not US salaries. It will be very,
yeah.
very cheap. And you do that the whole day, all day long, and it's impossible not to grow then. As long as that image looks good, like the
Mhm,
before and
mhm,
after, if it looks good, it's no brainer. It will work because often if it's good, the other commentators will say, "Wow, it's good," and then the author
mhm.
will think, "Oh, okay, if people say it's good, I should use it." Not just directories; it can be blog, info stuff, programmatic SEO, any website, like any website that has many pages. Even if you have 30 pages, it's a pain in the ass to create these
Oh,
images
yeah.
manually for each page if you have no designer. Usually people just go for same image for all pages. They put one for homepage and then go for the rest, but it's not good. It's a bad idea. And then the other one is people who use link short could use it too. Then maybe you even go to dub.co founder
Mhm,
and other link shortening startup founders, and you
mhm.
offer to integrate it there so that they could auto generate the OG image using your tool, and then you get more traffic from there. So these two methods would just work as long as you did a good job on image generation.
Okay, that sounds like a really doable strategy. We just shared two complete blueprints, two recipes for people to just go and do simple things, and you can start earning money right away.
Idea I would pay right now if it works the way I described, and I think a lot of
Mhm,
people would. So it's kind of a no-brainer. But you see, the interesting part here is that the recipe we created is easy and simple. It sounds simple, it's doable, people can do it. But in every idea, it's so easy to create wrong recipe. And in this case, people may think that it sounds too easy. Why would it work? Why would this work if it's so
mm,
easy? But people don't realize that the easy is the difficult, because there are 100 easy advice you can get around growing this tool, but only some will
yeah.
actually work out. And people may think that our advice sounds too easy, so it will fail as all the other easy advice. And most likely nobody gonna try it. I share everything I do with all my tools. I literally share my ideas before I build them. I share my plans on growth before I grow them.
Mhm,
Everything. I even share the keywords I use to target things, everything, but
mm,
often don't apply that. So I think it will take time for us to get the testimonials where somebody says, I actually followed their advice and look where I am. And only then people will start following it. So it might take us a year before at least one person tries at least once to execute this advice. And from there, it will be real.
Yeah, even though it sounds simple, it is simple because it took a lot of effort, years of experience,
Yeah.
failures to make it simple. It's like a tweet. It takes you
Yeah.
a lot of practice to make a short, eloquent, viral tweet.
But for
When
people,
you read it, it sounds easy.
exactly. But for people, it will look like a low effort recipe of a low effort idea we just given here, and they will think, no, it has to be something complicated, like no no pain, no gain.
Mm.
It is no pain, no gain, but we had the pain already, and
Yeah.
that's why we can throw this easy recipe.
Nice. I really hope someone will pick up those two. The first one, the tweet generator tool, maybe a little bit tricky because of the prompts part. It's super creative. It takes a lot of time
Yeah.
to practice and find out how it works,
You also need
and you
taste.
fail. Yeah, you need to have a taste and intuition, maybe. If you don't have experience working with prompts, you will have to.
I mean,
work
you have to
on.
be able to evaluate what it produces, and that will be the
Oh
main
yeah.
problem because regular person who is not good at social media, they don't see the difference between good and bad output. They often see the opposite. Like what I see that people who
Mm.
are not good at creating content, when they see this AI generated kind of bullshit type of content, they like it
Mhm.
more because it looks for them more professional. Like the
Oh.
emails. The best example is ask someone to write an email, and by default, their intuition brings them into writing this something you would never write, but somehow they do it. Like they go the other
Mm.
way. I was mentoring a lot of my friends with Twitter content, and I've
Mhm.
seen that every single time when they create content, they do the opposite of what has to be done. That's the funny part. Exactly the opposite. I think it's coming maybe from schools where in order to score well, it had to be long, it had to have big words, etc. And that's why people do the same in emails, same in the tweets. But the reality is that the world rewards the opposite: simple words, short, concise. So
Mhm.
this will
Mhm.
be the problem.
Mm.
But I think for the second project, it'll be easier because I guess people are better at seeing beauty than reading. People have better taste when they look at things, like the majority of people,
Mhm.
because people have okay clothing, like their house looks okay for most people, but most people are terrible
Mm.
at writing. So there's higher chance to
Mm.
succeed with the second one.
Yeah, and it seems more predictable. You can just break up the whole project into
Yeah,
small
yeah.
tasks, and it
There's
will
no magic to be done.
bring you to the success. The first part is, yeah, it has some. You still need to be lucky to have all the necessary skills in one person. It's not for everybody, but it will pay off if you are one. It will make you millions.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I think the first project is a type of the project that people should try, and
Hmm.
it may work or not. Not because the
Oh yeah.
project is good or bad, but because they have no fit with this project.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's easy to try. It's easier, much easier to try. Just need ChatGPT subscription. If it doesn't work, you just skip it. It's not for you. It doesn't mean you're a bad maker. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
not for you. You don't have the necessary skills and taste. You are good at some other things. Let's use that. Then you can go on to the second startup idea John introduced to you today, the image generator tool. Make it, find people who launch directories on Twitter and show off your work. Show them the before part. Then the second, screenshot the link with a high CTR attracting image. It will be sold. Is it cool? I want to do that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds
Uh,
really tempting.
but
It's
it is
so
not
simple.
easy project to maintain because you have to make sure your URLs work reliably, never give
Yeah.
errors. Sometimes you might have huge load because people gonna put it on a directory with a million links on them,
Mm.
and then some scrapers will scrape those pages, and you will get tons of requests. So it is an important endpoint that should always work reliably and respond fast and not fail. And if it fails, people are going to be disappointed because there will be some ugly image or no image there at all. That's why
Yeah.
I'm personally don't try to do those projects often because they bring so much stress. Because you're responsible for uptime. It has to be
Mm.
up all the time, and I rather like projects where, like the first one, where the uptime is not important, where quality important but not that much because people can just see the tweet and remove it if they don't like. There are
Yeah.
no surprises. So I would not recommend this as side project because you will just create stress for you. I would recommend
Mm.
if there is some tiny traction, it will drag you in and you'll have to work full time for this to actually make it reliable and make it work.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's enough ideas for today. We will make more episodes like this one if you guys and girls like it. But for us to know that you liked it, you have to like it. Like put your finger on the mouse and click the upvote button whenever you are, or write a comment or a DM, or send us this message mentally by closing your eyes. We'll get it. And we have a lot of ideas. You don't think we have only two ones? We have hundreds of ideas, and we can make you so overloaded if you want us to.
I would even say
Just let us know.
we should ask, basically, our goal with this podcast is not the ideas, but the execution.
Yeah,
So while everybody shares ideas and there's no shortage of ideas.
everybody, Greg
No,
shares
no, no. I
ideas.
mean, besides, Greg is doing cool thing that he brings cool people who talk about the ideas in a way others wouldn't. So I really like it. I think it's gold. What I meant is that if you search for ideas on the internet, you will find millions of them. So the world has no shortage of ideas. The world
Yeah, yeah.
has a shortage of recipes on actually step by step realistic implementation of ideas, because a typical person who would implement the idea would be a solopreneur with limited resources, limited time, limited skills, etc. So I think our goal here is to create those blueprints, like the recipes on
Mhm.
how to actually go from 0 to 1 with this particular
Oh, yeah.
idea, not for a hypothetical founder team or whatever, but for someone with limited resources and time. I think that's kind of our sweet spot, and that's why maybe we should even ask people to throw the ideas, vote for ideas, and then we just pick the
Hmm.
most
Oh.
liked idea under this tweet, and we break it down on how we would approach it, both on building or no, on validating, make your product fit, on building
Mhm,
it,
mhm.
on growing it, and on marketing it and things like that.
Yeah, it will be super useful content, even for the ones who already runs a startup. Such founders can learn the growth tactics we
Yeah,
share here and apply to their current projects. So yeah, I
exactly.
believe it has huge potential,
Yeah.
dramatically huge. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you very much, John, for your time and people for your attention. See you in 1 week. Bye.
Bye bye.